Welcome, Grüßele und Ihist. In recent times I've been recommended traveling videos yet again, and after going down a spiral of watching American reacts to Germany, Norway, or even the entirety of the EU, leaving just the question, why is it only the Americans reacting? Anyways, I was wondering where one of the most interesting places was missing. There are a lot of weird, or maybe not, depending where you're from, things you can see somewhere else. The people there wouldn't even bother to give the time of day. Something as simple as a German rouladen can be magic to an American, and a German couldn't fathom how anyone could have this American always smiling mindset. But nothing of that stands up to Rias, a place so off the norm that I'm baffled how there's yet to be someone doing these same copy-paste traveling videos for there. But do not worry, because I am here! There are, of course, a lot more hurdles than just going to another place on Earth, but when you put in the effort, you get rewarded. Cultures you have never seen before, all the way down to games so similar yet so different, you cannot be but fascinated by them. Now that you have finally reached the end of my way too long introduction, I think it's time to stop this rambling, throw away all of this, and make some space for the real first part of this video. What? Wait, not me! Well then, being the only one doing this gives me the incredible tedious job of doing everything from the ground up. So let's start with step 1, preparation. As you probably already have heard, it is way harder to get to Rias than just to another place on Earth. Going to another planet simply encompasses a lot more than the usual stuff, being a nightmare doing it all on your own for the first time like I did. The most sensible thing is probably that it's heavily regulated what you can bring with you. We have seen often enough in history when we brought foreign species to other continents how they ruin the ecosystem, something that is just exaggerated on another planet, so be ready for extensive health checks. Just let me give you some of what I had to deal with unprepared so you know better. Pass a base level Rias language test makes sense when nobody speaks English there. What is the purpose of your travel? I get that.
What are your traveling plans and time of stay?
So you're telling me I have to pre-plan every time?
Please state your income.
Wait,
Please
what?
state your criminal record.
Are you in any
affiliation with Rias?
Cut it out! Yeah, there are some, meaning a lot more than what I showed you of things you have to go through before they even allow you to use the gate. But let's just say you made it through, somehow. I applaud you for now being stranded, with no valid currency and no way to exchange your euro, $1, or whatever you have. There are obviously special exchange stations at the gate for exactly this purpose, that you should never skip over. Another thing you can forget is to bring a car with you. The biggest problem of course being fuel incompatibility. It may work, it may not, it's like the Russian roulette of cars. After that, the next logical question would of course be where to live. I personally do not like waking up from a raccoon checking if it can eat me. A normal person would just take the route of, for short stays get a hotel, for long ones rent an apartment. But specifically in the Sitkin Hitaka and Totias Lardemluhik, they have a popular system that works similar to VGs, called Ruhersturm Tohist. For those who don't know what a VG is, here at least it's when mostly students live together in a small apartment and share bills, and these RITI are like that, but also for non-students. Especially in big cities, it would be hard to find a street without the RITI. In Rias, it really isn't just a temporary thing. Well, at least the ones I'm talking about, as there are still student ones. If you can find the RITI that takes you in, it's the best way to experience everyday life, and at an affordable rate on top of that. But before we dive deeper into this, we may need to go over what even isn't a Sitkin Hitaka or Totias Lardemluhik, as there are some awful misinformation about Rias running around that need to be corrected. All of this, away! Not again! Okay, time for a bit geography. This should be about what you have seen of Rias, but this does not show countries. There are obviously more than just 4 countries in Rias, but something that is true is that this is really all there is to it. Unlike we, who were born just a teeny bit too late for this. Rias right now is in a state where all land masses are joined. No Vikings or Columbus needed to discover new worlds. But what there are is definitely a lot of countries. Like, screw you, that's our lake. Now you ask, obviously, what is this? Well, simply said, it's a map of the 4 unions that nearly all countries belong to one of. Well, with the obvious exceptions, of course. They are named in order top to bottom Totias Lerdemluhuk, Ruakis Gefurken, Timrastohuk, and Ishitkin Hitakev, which translate to the people of the sea, the Northern Alliance, the ones who endure, and the family of Is of the South. The people of the sea is kinda self-explanatory, as they are the sea power of Rias. On the other hand, what isn't obvious is that the Ruakis Gefurken is the poorest union. Sindra Stoic was destroyed in 2 of the 3 world wars, and Ishitkin Hitakev is the strongest economic union. And by the way, these colors aren't chosen at random. POV, you are Rakte, and colors have double meaning. Cowards are blue, friendship is yellow, we fight in scarlet like and seek peace in orange. Now, going over the region's most prevalent features. The Tula is a jungle region that constantly fights with the Refu for this island cluster, where they have a strong bond with the Zin. The Refu has a giant desert covering most of it, right along the equator, leading to low population and not many countries. If not for the continent starting to break apart right through the desert region, there would be even less people living here. And as the ones who started World War I, that could have had huge impact on history. Smack in the middle we have the Zin, a group of countries who constantly got bodied in the world wars, and getting split apart and reuniting twice. But hey, they are still doing better than the Refu. And the giant river Tuatares Hitafuzusu is shared with the Tula, through agreements back from World War III, giving the Tula a sea entrance to inland. Finally, there is, the place where you put your meat outside to keep it cold and haven't heard of what stress is. As a fan of cold weather, I do approve of that, and I think we all could chill out a bit more. In addition, the Zuzu Islands are neutral after being fought over from the Refu and Tula for a long time. Hiftohe is a neutral border country between the Refu and the Zin. Taers is a neutral trade center between the Tula and the Zin, and the South Pole is recognized as no one's land by the world, as there are just simply not enough people living there to claim it as their own. By the way, that border between the Is and the Zin is straight by design. After World War III, they designated the border between there as a string of rivers going from one side of the continent to the other, but those got later straightened out, with the definition staying the same, changing the borders to this shape. And despite them being so close together, even touching another, the fastest way to cross between them is actually to take a boat to the Tula and cross over Taers to get into the other country. If you were to take the direct route, that could in the worst case take weeks, with some real East and West Germany stuff going on. But what if both sides were East Germany? No one is crossing to no one here. And there is some genuine hate between the Is and the Zin. Wait, what? You're telling me you had enough of this for now? Oh, hold your horses. I'm just gonna pack my stuff and leave. And now, time for the $1 million question. Are Rakte catgirls or boys? If you would ask, are they kimono Mädchen, I could with certainty say yes, as they do in fact have fluffy ears on top, tails, 1 or 2, and claws for fingernails. Despite them not being all that clawy anymore, and the tails pretty much doing their own thing now, thanks to evolution saying no more, but Rakte pulled the Uno reverse card and kept them. Also, unlike us, the other runner-up for intelligent life, Tornhist Virgo didn't get exterminated and simply merged with Tornhist Raget. The best guess to how would be a lot of coincidence coming all together, birthing this weird quirk of some Rakte having 1 and some having 2 tails. But a thing that definitely didn't happen are bioluminescence tails, like some may want you to make believe because in mythology it's mentioned a lot. Guess what? They made it up, that's why it's called myth. Finally, a survival tip. No matter how enticing it may look, do not touch someone's tail, even under friends. Just because it's dangling outside all day doesn't mean that it's not a private part. Going on to other oddities. Grass is red. Yeah, weird, but not really when you consider that red chlorophyll exists even on Earth, so it really was just luck that decided that green was more dominant. The next thing that comes to mind is how time will melt your brain. It's not like jet lag and time zones, but that time straight up isn't the same. About 22 hours of us is what they call a day, even if they call it 32 hours. And it's way harder to get used to than you might think. With these basic things over, let's go over to everyone's most favorite stereotypes. I mean, all Rakta are aggressive, human xenophobes, commies with inhuman strength and speed. The easiest first, they are not fast compared to humans. You really shouldn't underestimate how high humans set the bar for agility plus speed that needs to be cleared. And in terms of strength, well, I guess they're a bit stronger. And aggressive, well, of course you would hear loud people more than the majority who's just chillin', plus there are cultural misunderstandings. One of the most common things that sounds wild is how Stimmen bite in their necks. It may be archaic nowadays, but still holds meaning in that you wouldn't allow someone to bite a vital point without the trust that that person does not end you right then and there. Stimmen for them is the highest level of trust you can give someone. Your own children, partner, all of that ranks lower. It's said that there will never be more than 1,000 Fahatel Stimmen at once on Rias, of all the 6.5 billion Rakta in existence. On the direct opposite of the spectrum, we have their two-tailed supremacy. They're not xenophobe towards humans, but just simply feel superior to someone with less tails. If you don't want to feel like a black US American in 1954, simply avoid the Rifu and the east half of the Zin. The 6% that live on the east half of the world are something you can clearly miss out on. And with there being already clothes that hides completely the tail of someone, it's not like it's special to not show any. To be honest, in terms of xenophobia, Rakta are way ahead of humans, thanks to their Pangea situation. The round-eared, fluffy-tailed Rakta of the Is have always had some amount of contact with the spiky-eared, smooth-tailed Rakta of the Rifu, being with the exception for small land separated by water really isolates civilizations a lot. Another thing that is beyond me is how the stereotype of Rakta being commies is a thing, but probably it stems from how so many big companies have their main seat in Zin, like the USA here, and the Rakta think of the humans in a very American way as well. You know, bad health system, xenophobia by skin color, guns, obesity, all the fun stuff. The reason why they are all there boils down to how after World War III, the Zin members had to do something to get the economy going. A lot of them subsidized companies to lower overall prices and getting export money into the country. Okay, I hear you, no more politics. In short, the people got put into a communist system while the companies got paid from that. It created workspace, brought the general living standards up, but took away the ability to get wealthy, something no one was there after World War III to begin with. How about we change to something a bit more fun? Did you know that Rakta can't snip? Their claws come out of their fingertips, so snipping would include cutting in your own flesh. But how does the saying go? Lurhuf hidurrum, musotelex mimosh, derrukate, derrulurhuf, tuzuteshit terte sachi gakut. Or in other words, he whom's want to learn the art of snipping shall bleed by their own claws. Most also can't swim. Not only is there generally less use to it when the point of traveling in water isn't there, but on top of that are Rakta denser than humans, literally. You will blow their minds if you go, watch this, and proceed to float all over the water, while they, slowly sinking, watch you. Swimming sure isn't as fun when you constantly have to fight not drowning despite being good at swimming. But the fact about Rakta that no other fact could even challenge is their family relations. You sort the 9 circuits of Helabed, then get ready for the 27 Jada billion circuits of family trees. Rakta are polygamous, and if you didn't know, now you do. With that, you get fun situations like both of your parents have at least one extra spouse, and they will also have more. And this continues on until it spills over right to where it started, forming a perfect circle. Have fun trying to figure out to what degree you are related to the son of your stepmom's other husband. And thank God that you aren't genetically related, so now you have the great ability to take that brother as a spouse without it being called incest. At least they don't try to give everything its name and just say Kahilf and Totoyas. And yes, there are naming schemes for all of this, but I stopped caring at the moment there was a step-great-aunt. But with me having to suffer through going all of this and figuring out, so will you now too. The basics first. This is you, your parents, and potential siblings. That special Samlon, and your shield, and grandparents. Your parent sibling is your uncle. And bam, polygamy, step-parent, and half-sibling. But don't forget your step-grandparent, if that word even exists. And how could we forgo your great-grandparents? And with them come bam, more polygamy, step-great-grandparents. And this, I couldn't even come up with a name for it. Wait, you're telling me these are your half-siblings' great-grandparents? How fun! This makes them your step-great-grandparents. And here comes the circle, your other step-great-grandparents. But I lied, these are in reality your great-grandparents. What comes with a family stays with a family. And that step-great-grandparent was your step-great-grandparent all along, but now from the other side, making your stepfather your step-uncle. And how could we forego your aunt's husband? Or should I call him your step-great-uncle? Because generation gaps don't mean anything. So I too will now skip a generation to your first cousins once removed. Is she allowed to marry a child? I think not. But we gotta stay in the family, don't we? And the best part is, this was the first time anything here was genetically overlapping. And you think I was done with? Fool! You only talked about your great-grandparents' level. There's still all the relationships of your grandparent level. And following that comes their children. And then there's more, and more, and more! The deeper you go! This is you! I think. I hope. I don't even know anymore. So, how about... Did you know that sexism basically doesn't exist when everyone is hung up on two or one tail debates? That's a good thing. Probably. Or how about they have some of the funniest dust you will ever see. Lugagyak are adorable, sentient balls of fluff that tricked everyone to think they are birds. Can't fly, but jump like an athlete and fall like a helium balloon. But all of this talk was quite exhausting, so how about a game? Think that chess 2 thing was a joke? Fool! You think humans are the only ones who come up with war, the simulation, the board game, the turn-based experience. It's called Kuyahiv, and it is the balance patch John Chess never gave us in the 600 years of him selling the same thing every year. Even EA knows to make some changes to FIFA before releasing the same game the next year. And you know what? Changing the spaces to hexagon was a brilliant idea from Johan Kuyahiv. But explaining all of Kuyahiv is a bit too much for now. If you want to hear about that, I guess write Kuyahiv in the comments. And when you absolutely are not interested in it, simply write Rindfläche-Etikettierungsüberwachungsaufgabenübertragungsgesetz. That should be simple. I think the last thing I'm mentioning for now is, if you are God, Ragde would love to know your location and exercise punching bag training with your face. Where weak beta herbivore humans said, "Oh, life's so bad, God save me." Alpha carnivore Ragde said, "Oh no, this hurts so much." Anyways, where's that God at fault for my pain? I need to drastically shorten his lifespan so that this never happens again. It's almost amazing how religion is so strong there, when all of the religion is about how various heroes went to gods and showed them how fun it could be to hold your breath for the rest of eternity. One of the most important stories is about how the Garnhid Nahagamus broke the heavens, went straight to the highest standing god Is, and convinced her how much better it would be not to be so attached to your limbs. That way you could even be everywhere in Rias all at the same time. And yes, that is the same Is von Ishitken Hitakaev. It is the only region that kept its old name Ishitken, with Isfumu being the old word for desert and Istostu being simply everywhere else. And you can also brilliantly see from these names that the Fernweh from Reastoic stem from Ishitken Hitakev. Down there, a lot of the languages use it, while it is nearly non-existent in the rest of the world, if not for Reastoic being the world language. Ha! Not this time! I know my kendo! Kote! Well, I guess that's it for now. It may be a bit fast-paced and all over the place, but I simply wanted to make an overview of Rias, because I don't know where to start otherwise. And I'm just going to see what happens now. Making something of queer hiv? That sounds interesting, but I have also planned completely different things. Just throwing stuff in the wall and looking what sticks style. Can't just be a one-trick pony after all. That would be like if you were a pony that can only do one trick. Look at that guy over there, only knowing one trick. Couldn't be me.
Another successful scheme!
Wait, what? You saying you hit 3 times in my videos? Hinfort mit dir, du Ungetüm. I am not here to tend to tricky tricksters trying to trick travelers traveling through treacherous terrain. Well, not like I can change that now. I guess it was up to you to spot Claude and avoid his schemes. Hope you made it safely through this journey of Rias and Zechi Hestelex.